After years of self doubt, I managed to make the varsity teams as a senior, but I really made it on the field. In total, I played 11 innings of high school varsity baseball, barely more than a single game despite my lackluster high school career. I still believe I could become a great player, and I knew that if things were going to improve, I was the one responsible for making it happen. The the turning point came 2 years after my injury when I began college at Denison University. It was a new beginning, and it was a place where I would discover the surprising power of a small habits for the first time. How I learned about habits. Attending Denison was one of the best decisions of my life. I earned a spot on the baseball team, and although I was at the bottom of the roster as a freshman, I would thrill despite the chaos of my high school years. I had managed to become a college athlete. I wasn't going to to be starting on the baseball team anytime soon, so I focused on getting my life in order. While my peers stayed up late and played video games, I built good sleep habits and went to bed early each night. In the messy world of a college dorm, I made a point to keep my room neat and tidy. These improvements were minor, but they gave me a sense of control over my life. I started to feel confident again, and this growing belief in myself ripple into the classroom as I improved my study habits and managed to earn straight A's during my first year. A habit is a routine or behavior that is performed regularly and in many cases automatically. As each semester passed, I accumulated a small but consistent habit that ultimately led to the results that were uni unimaginable to me when I started. For example, for the first time in my life, I made it habit to lift weights multiple times per week, and in the years that follow, my 6'4" frame bulk up from a featherweight 170 to a lean 200 pound. When my sophomore season arrived, I earned a starting role on the pitching staff. By my junior year, I was voted team captain, and at the end of the season, I was selected for the all conference team. But it was not until my senior season that my sleep habit, study habit, and state training habit really began to pay off. 6 years after I had been hit in the face with a baseball bat, flown to the hospital, and placed into a coma, I was selected as the top male athlete at Denison University and named to the ESPN Academic All America team, and honor given to just 33 players across the country. By the time I graduated, I was listed in the school record books in 8 different categories. That same year, I was awarded the university highest academic honor, the President Medal. I hope you will forgive me if this sounds boastful. To be honest, there was nothing legendary or historic about my athletic career. I never ended and playing professionally. However, looking back on those years, I believe I accomplished something just as rare. I fulfilled my potential, and I believe the concept in this book can help you fulfill your potential as well. We all face challenge in life. This injury was one of mine, and the experience taught me a critical lesson. Changes that seems small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results if you are willing to stick with them for years. We all deal with setbacks, but in the long run, the equality of our life often depends on the equality of our habits. With the same habit, you will end up with the same result, but the better habit, anything is possible. Maybe there are people who can achieve incredible success overnight. I don't know any of them, and I am certainly not one of them. There wasn't one defining moment on my journey from medically induced coma to academic all American. There were many. It was a gradual evolution, a long series of small wins and tiny breakthrough. The only way I made progress, the only choice I had was to start small, and I employed this same strategy. A few years later, when I started my own business and began working on this book. How and why I wrote this book. In November 2012, I began publishing articles at jamesclear.com. For years, I had been keeping notes about my personal experiments with habits, and I was finally ready to share some of them publicly. I began by publishing a new article every Monday and Thursday. Within a few months, this simple writing habit led to my first 1,000 email subscriber, and by the end 2013 that number had grown to more than 30,000 people. In 2012 14, my email list expanded to over 100,000 subscribers, which made it one of the fastest growing newsletter on the internet. I had felt like an imposter when I began writing 2 years earlier, but now I was becoming known as an expert on habits, a new label that excited me but also felt uncomfortable. I had never considered myself a master of the topic, but rather someone who was experimenting alongside my readers. In 2012, I reached 200,000 email subscriber and signed a book deal with Penguin Random House on begin writing the book you are reading now. As my audience grew, so did my business opportunities. I was increasingly asked to speak at top companies about the science of habit formation, behavior change, and continuous improvement. I found myself delivering keynote speeches at conferences in the United States and Europe. In 2016, my articles began to appear regularly in major publications like Time, Entrepreneur, and Forbes. Incredibly, my writing was read by over 8 million people that year. Coaches in the NFL, NBA, and MLB began reading my work and sharing it with their teams. At the start of 2017, I launched the Habit Academy, which became the premier training platform for organizations and individuals interested in building better habits in life and work. Fortune 500 companies and growing startup begins to enroll their leaders and train their staff. In total, over the 10,000 leaders, manager, coaches, and teachers have graduated from the Habit Academy, and my work with them has taught me an incredible amount about what it takes to make habit work in the real world. As I put the finishing touches on this book in 2018, JamesClear.com is receiving millions of visitors per month, and nearly 500,000 people subscribed to my weekly email newsletter, a number that is so far beyond my expectation. When I began that, I'm not even sure what to think of it. How this book will benefit you. The entrepreneurs and investor Naval Navikant has said, to write a great book, you must first become the book. I originally learned about the ideas mentioned here because I had to live them. I had to rely on small habits to rebound from my injury, to get stronger in the gym, to perform at a high level on the field, to become a writer, to build a successful business, and simply to develop into a responsible adult. Small habits help me fulfill my potential, and since you pick up this book, I'm guessing you like to fulfill your as well. In the pages that follow, I will share a step by step plan for building better habit, not for day or weeks, but for a lifetime. While science supports everything I've written, this book is not an academic research paper, it's an operating manual. You will find wisdom and practical advice front and center as I explain the science of how to create and change your habit in a way that is easy to understand and apply. The fields I draw on biologically, neuroscience, philosophy, psychology, and more have been around for many years. What I offer you is a synthesis of the best ideas smart people figured out a long time ago, as well as the most compelling discovery scientists has have made. Recently, my contribution, I hope it is to find the ideas that matter most and connect them in a way that is highly actionable. Anything wise in these pages, you should credit to the many experts who preceded me. Anything foolish, assume it is my error. The backbone of this book is my four steps model of habit, cue, craving, response, and reward, and the four laws of behavior change that evolve out of these steps. Readers with a psychology background may recognize some of these terms from operant conditioning, which was first proposed as stimulus response reward by B.F. Skinner in the 1930s and have been popularized more recently as cue routine reward in the Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Behavioral scientists like Skinner realized that if you offered the right reward or punishment, you could get people to act in a certain way. But while Skinner model did an excellent job for explaining how external stimuli influence our habit, it lacked a good explanation for how our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs impact our behavior. Internal states, our moods and emotions matters too. In recent decades, scientists have begun to determine the connection between our thoughts, feelings, and behavior. This research will also be covered in these pages. In total, the framework I offer is an integrated model of the cognitive and behavioral science. I believe it is one of the first model of human behavior to accurately account for both the influence of external stimuli and internal emotions on our habits. While some of the language may be familiar, I am confident that the details and the application of our four laws of behavior change will offer a new way to think about your habit. Human behavior is always changing situations to situation, moment to moment, second to second, but this book is about what doesn't change. It's about the fundamental of human behavior. The lasting principles you can rely on year after year, the ideas you can build a business around, build a family around, build a life around. There is no one right way to create better habit, but this book describes the best way I know. An approach that will be effective regardless of where you start or what you are trying to change. The strategies I covered will be relevant to anyone looking for a step-by-step system for improvement, whether your goals center on health, money, productivity, relationship, or all of the above. As long as human behavior is involved, this book will be your guide. The fundamentals. Why tiny changes make a big difference. Number one, the surprising power of atomic habit. The fate of British cycling changed one day in 2003. The organization, which was the governing body for professional cycling in Great Britain, had recently hired Dave Brailsford as its new performance director. At the time, professional cyclists in Great Britain had endured nearly 100 years of mediocrity, mediocrity, mediocrity. Since 1908, British Raiders had won just a single gold medal at the Olympic Games, and they had fared even worse in cycling biggest race, the Tour de France, in 110 years, no British cyclist had ever won the event. In fact, the performance of the performance of the British riders had been so underwhelming that one of the top bike manufacturers in Europe refused to sell bikes to the team because they were afraid it would hurt sale if other professionals saw the Brits using their gears. Brailsford had been hired to put British cycling on a new trajectory. What made him different from previous coaches was his relentless commitment to a strategy that he referred to as an aggregation of marginal gains, which was the philosophy of searching for a tiny margin of improvement in everything you do. Brailsford said the whole principles came from the idea that if you broke down everything you could think of that goes into riding a bike and then improve it by 1%, you will get a significant increase when you put them all together. Balesford and his coach begins by making a small adjustment you might expect from a professional cycling team. They redesigned the bike seats to make them more comfortable and rub alcohol on the tires for a better grip. They asked riders to wear electrically heated overshot to maintain ideal muscles temperature while riding and use biofeedback sensors to monitor how each athlete responds to a particular workout. The team tested various fabrics in a wind tunnel and had their outdoor riders switch to indoor racing suits, which improved to be a lighter and more aerodynamic. But they didn't stop there. Bilsford and his team continued to find 1% improvement in overlook and unexpected areas. They tested different types of massage gels to see which one lead to the fastest muscle recovery. They hire a surgeon to teach each rider the best way to wash their hands to reduce the chances of catching a cold. They determine the types of pillow and mattresses that lead to the best night's sleep for each rider. They have painted the inside of the team truck white, which help them spot little bits of dust that would normally slip by unnoticed but could degrade the performance of the finely tuned bike. As these and hundreds of other small improvements accumulated, the result came faster than anyone could have imagined. Just 5 years after Bilsford took over, the British cycling team dominated the road and track cycling event at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, where they won an astounding 60% of the gold medal available. 4 years later, when the Olympic Games came to London, the Brits raised the bar as they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. That same year, Bradley Wiggins became the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France. The next year, his teammate Chris Froome won the race, and he would go on to the win again in 2015, 2016, and 2017, giving the British team 5 Tour de France victories in 6 years. During the 10 years span from 2007 to 2017, British cyclists won 178 World Championships and 65 Olympics or Paralympics gold medals and capture 5 Tour de France victories in what is widely regarded as the most successful run in cycling history. How does this happen? How does a team of previous ordinary athletes transform into a world champion with tiny changes that at first glance would seem to make a modest difference at best? Why do small improvement accumulated into such remarkable results, and how can you replicate this approach in your own life? Why small habits make a big difference? It is so easy to overestimate the importance of one defining movement and underestimate the value of making a small improvement on a daily basis Too often we convince ourselves that massive success requires massive actions, whether it is losing weight, building a business, writing a book, or winning a championship, or achieving any other goal. We put pressure on ourselves to make some earth shattering improvement that everyone will talk about. Meanwhile, improving by one person isn't particularly notable. Sometimes it isn't even noticeable, but it can be far more meaningful, especially in the long run. The difference a tiny improvement can make over time is astounding. Here, how the math work out: if you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you will end up 37 times better by the time you are done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you will decline nearly down to zero. What start as a small win or a minor what start as a small win or a minor setbacks accumulate into something much more. 1% better every day, 1% worse every day for 1 year, 0.99365, 0.003. 1% better every day for 1 year, 1.01365, 37.78. Results: 1% improvement, 1% decline time. Figure 1: the effect of a small habit compound over time. For example, if you can get 1% better each day, you will end up with results there are nearly 37 times better often 1 year.